Man, guys, this has been one hell of a ride, I will tell you, Orange fans. 3 weeks ago, this team looked like it was dead in the water. The Orange were spinning their wheels throughout the last part of the regular season. And I mean, they looked like a team that had no goals, no nothing going for them. And especially in the regular season final against Georgetown, they just looked totally lost out there on the floor against the Hoyas. But what a difference 3 weeks makes. What a heck of a run through the Big East tournament. What a heck of a run they're having right now. And guess where they are? The Final Four in Atlanta. Who'd have thunk 3 weeks ago that this Orange team was going to make a run like this? We're starting to look like the team of 10 years ago when we had that veteran core of Hakeem Warwick, Kath Dewaney, Craig Forth, and those two bright-eyed youngsters who really helped us on our run 10 years ago. A smiling guy named Carmelo Anthony and a good pure shooter from Northeast Pennsylvania named Jerry McNamara. Their contributions rode the Orange all the way to the national title, finally getting Boeheim that big one that he so deserved. Well, you know, this team looks like a lot like that team 10 years ago. Nobody really gave them a heck of a shot in much of the season, both teams that is. There were people who didn't think that 2000 team could do much of any, 2003 team could do much of anything. Well, this 2013 team is surprising everyone. Seems as though everybody knows that 2-3 zone is going to be coming at them, but yet when they go against it, they don't know what to do. I mean, let's look at the last 2 games, shall we? Indiana, who for 10 weeks held the #1 ranking in the polls. They knew the 2-3 zone was coming, yet it seemed as though the Hoosiers could do nothing about it. They just looked totally lost against the 2-3 zone. And boy, did Michael Carter-Williams have a game against the Hoosiers. 25 points en route to the Cuse, beating the Hoosiers 61-50. And then came a game that I thought would be real trouble. If there was any team I thought could oust the Orange from the tournament, I thought it would be our old pals, soon to be ex-conference mates, Marquette. Because you know Marquette plays against us once or twice every year. 2 years ago, Marquette ousted us from the NCAA tournament, and earlier this year, Marquette beat us in the regular season. But Marquette just looked totally lost against the 2-3 zone. And this is a real bit of irony, Orange fans. In our final regular season game, it was our worst offensive output in the Jim Boeheim era. We only scored 39 points against Georgetown. And guess how many points Marquette scored against us in the Elite Eight? 39. Of course, offensively, we didn't do a lot too, but we did enough. 55-39. And guess what, Orange fans? Final Four bound, here we come. This has been one amazing ride, and you know what? With the defense the Orange is putting up there, I wouldn't want anybody to play against them. We're right now smothering and covering every team we're playing. That 2-3 zone is working to perfection. But this team that they're going to be playing in the Final Four does worry me. They are a pretty darn good bunch from Michigan. It's the first time the Wolverines are in the Final Four since the days of the Fab Five. And I mean, there's some NBA pedigree on this team, including Tim Hardaway's son. This Michigan team does worry me. But what also would worry me is if we get past the Wolverines, we might be for the 4th time this year bumping into our old friends from Louisville. And they're playing with a lot of inspiration right now, especially to that what happened to Kevin Ware. Now I will tell you, I have a cast iron stomach a lot of times, but I was visibly shaken watching what happened to that poor young man. You saw what his teammates and Coach Patino were like. And no, nothing like that should happen to a great athlete. And Godspeed, Kevin Ware. I hope you recover and I hope you're able to play basketball. But let's say this. I know fans are going to be pulling for Louisville now because of what happened to Ware. But you know what? Us Orange fans will have something to say about it. This has been one hell of a ride, Orange fans. Who'd have thought 3 weeks ago we'd be at the Final Four? But we're here. And I will add this. In my mind, I still think that Boeheim still hasn't gotten the recognition he's deserved. But you know, if he leads the Orange to the national title here, I think he'll be vindicated. He'll get that second national title. He'll rightfully be placed among the greatest college coaches ever. I would have hoped that it would have been Duke playing us in the championship game. But of course, Louisville had other ideas. But you know, next Tuesday at this time, for what probably will be my final show of this particular season, hopefully we'll be celebrating the Cuse with a national title. This is one hell of a ride, Cuse fans. Let's keep it going. And I will add this to something else I saw on Sunday. I saw a little bit of that great the Sweet 16 women's game against Baylor and Louisville. And the Louisville girls, taking a cue from the guys, probably played with a lot of inspiration, because they did. But I do want to call your attention to one thing that happened near the end of the game. Brittany Griner, the man-woman who plays for Baylor, I mean, she was double-teamed, triple-teamed, sometimes four-teamed. But of course, right near the end of the game came the controversial play when Baylor was called for a charge, when it obviously looked like the Louisville player was flopping. That thing that players have been doing in order to draw charging fouls, which is really illegal. Thing is, you saw what Kim Mulkey, the Baylor coach, did. I mean, she was furious. The thing is, I gotta say this to you, Mulkey. You're a trailblazer for the women's game. I remember watching you play for Louisiana Tech back in the early 80s. I remember you being an assistant coach for Louisiana Tech when they won another national title. And in your 13 years as Baylor's coach, you've done a hell of a job. But please, don't do a striptease on the basketball court. Heck, you came about halfway out of your suit coat there. Thing is, I think I heard some music somewhere in the arena go. Hey, don't make some guys horny by arguing a call. You know, there's a place to do that and a place not to do that. And that is not on the basketball court. Kim, keep your shirt on, will you? But of course, I think you are right to criticize the officials. And of course, they're probably going to fine you. But hey, it's not a place for a striptease, if you know what I mean. And of course, Brittany Griner, responding to the fact that Louisville beat them 82-81, said in her man-woman voice, well, you know, we could have fought better, you know. Hey, I do the Sylvester Stallone imitation better than you, miss. And I will say one thing. Baseball has started another season. Sunday night was the regular opening night, but yesterday was the big opening day. And 75 years ago was one of the greatest acts to ever talk about baseball. I'm talking about the great comedy act from Bud Abbott and Lou Costello, two who came along in a golden era comedy, who just did that great act, the Who's on First routine. And you know, 75 years later, that act still holds up. Shows you what type of comedy that was. Comedy from that era holds up even to today, because that was comedy. Abbott and Costello, the Three Stooges, Laurel and Hardy, Red Skelton, Jack Benny, all of those. That was comedy. not today's comedy, which mainly focuses on toilet humor. I mean that type of comedy when the spontaneity of those two, especially. Now I tell you, who's on first, what's on second, I don't know who's on third. Well, who's on first? Who? The first baseman. Who? I'm not asking you who's on first. Well, what's the second baseman's name? What? Well, I don't know. Third base? Well, who's on first? What's on second? I don't know who's on third. And I don't give a shit. What? I don't give a shit. Oh, he's the shortstop. See, that type of comedy needs to make a comeback. Those were the kings. They did it right. Not this where the sound of makes people laugh. I know sometimes hearing somebody farting makes people laugh, but hey, farting noises and talking about scatological humor only goes so far. But of course, scatological humor can be good if Ella Fitzgerald had done it. And I think I'm out of time here, folks. But I will say this. Let's go, Cuse. I never would have thought we'd get this far. But let's keep it going. Let's win another national title for Boeheim. I'm Ken Haas. That's my story. And let's bring home the national title, Syracuse.